and welcome to another episode of Xale, juk len with me, Kinneh.
And me, Mariama.
Today we have two hard-working young women today with us, and one of them is a blogger and the other an entrepreneur.
So Jalika and Yassin, welcome to the show. So recently, Yassin, you held an event called Empowering Queens, and all three of us attended. So just tell us a bit about it.
Well, Empowering Queens was founded in my first year of uni. I used to go to a lot of networking events, and I found that one, there was no one there my age, and two, there was no one there my race. So that kind of pushed me to start Empowering Queens. Being the feminist that I am, I thought it would be great to bring women together. At first it was mainly to bring about business focused women, but then I thought, why not tap into different areas? So that's when we brought in empowering women through their business, career, faith and personal relationships. That's how it was born. So each year we try to do as many events to bring women together, network and learn from each other. Yeah.
And what kind of events do you guys do? Because obviously the one that we went to was more of a intimate kind of event. Do you do any other types?
Yes. Well, that one, a lot of the review I got was that it was intimate, and I think the last year's one, which you attended, wasn't as intimate. It was more people, and this one was a bit more cozier, and I feel like it kind of set the standard of what people talked about, because as you were there you could see people were kind of talking a lot about things that they went through in the past, which I think might not have happened had there been more people. So I feel like maybe we should have more of those intimate conversations to bring out important topics like mental health and different things that people go through that we may not necessarily talk about every day. So we do a lot of different ones like seminars, where I'm hoping to do one with her soon. Hopefully you'll attend, and so whatever we feel like is necessary for a particular time. We don't want to do events just for the sake of doing events. We want there to be a purpose. So hopefully we'll have our next one in the summer.
Perfect.
And Jalika, you were there as well, so what would you say you took away from this year's event?
I was at this year's one, I was at last year's one as well, and I think it was interesting seeing the people who were there last year come back, and it was really good for me to see them kind of admit to the places where they went wrong, because some people were there last year and they were saying, the following year is going to be a great year, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and everything's going to be perfect. And it was good to see them come back and say, actually it wasn't perfect, this went wrong, that went wrong, I struggled in this way. I think that made it very real for me, and it made me realize that sometimes life derails you, and that's completely okay. It's not a failure, it's just a setback that you can bounce back from. It was nice to see them be honest about that. I think that was very important.
Definitely, because when Kinneh and I went, we didn't expect it to be that intimate, but we enjoyed it so much. We learnt so much from it, got so much from it, even met people that we have now got into contact with. It was such a perfect opportunity for us, and then obviously we met Jalika as well. It was just, I think it was just such an amazing event.
I think to add on to what Jalika said, things do go wrong. I feel like we do live in a society where social media is such a huge thing that people just post the good things, I've got a new job, I've got new this, where we don't see the struggles. No one wants you to see their struggles. So I feel like it is very important, even if it's not through these events, through your friendship groups, your family, if you're going through stuff, just talk it out. It makes the difference.
Definitely.
And it's good because it created a safe space where people are allowed to show flaws and struggle as well.
Because that was our first time meeting all these new people, but for you to be that open, it was quite inspiring as well for me at the end of the day, because like you said, it's nice, not nice, but it's different to hear of other people that may not do so well at that particular point in life, but they do manage to turn it around and change things, and at the end of the day they can use their story to inspire you. And that's definitely what happened to me that day, because I went home and I actually did my uni work and stuff exactly, but I was so inspired that day. I was like, you know what, let's do this. So yeah,
and I would say even if it's not my event, I think go to other networking.
Yeah, definitely.
Because there's a lot of free stuff out there, and like you said, every time you come away from this, you find this new motivation. I'm gonna change the Exactly. So they're very good. Like just go on Eventbrite, type in free networking events, and you meet like really great people. There.
Definitely.
So I'll definitely encourage it.
Definitely.
So where do you see yourself taking this kind of event for the future?
So in the last 3 years, it's mainly been around women, but at the event, as I announced, it would now be empowering everyone. So now we've rebranded to Empowering You, because I feel there was if you remember, there was one man at the event, bless him, and he was very kind of like, he wished there were more men there, or there were more platforms for men, because I feel like we kind of forget the men sometimes, because we believe that men are strong, they don't need this, like feminism. And what we need to remember is feminism is about equality. It's not about boys versus girls. We all want to be on the same level. So that's kind of one of the reasons why I wanted to change it to all genders rather than just women, and hopefully the boys will come on board and so yeah, hopefully in the next couple of years we aim to like take it nationwide, because as I also announced at the event, we'll be doing Empowering Queens Scotland and also Empowering Queens Leeds. Actually, sorry, Empowering You. Empowering You. So yeah, we just want to reach as many people. And from these events and stuff, if we can make a difference, if we can make one person go home and do that, that's like what we aim to do. Yeah. So we're definitely going to keep going.
And the name Empowering You obviously is quite self-explanatory anyway, but what made you choose the term empowering? Why not something else?
I think I feel like if you're empowered, you can do anything. I think if you're empowered in your career, you can, like last year I was going from job to job because I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I knew I wanted, when I graduated, I was like, I'm not ready for a master's. But I also wanted not to be like doing something for the sake of
just doing it.
So I kind of quit my job in October. I was like, that's it, I'm going to do my thing. And I feel like that kind of came through like listening to like people around me, like getting empowered by like their actions to make me think, okay, I can do this too, rather than just going to job in, job out. Not that there's anything wrong with working 9 to 5. If that's what you do and that's what you love, then absolutely. But for me, it wasn't for me. So I feel like the word empower, like even if you say empower, it's like, ooh.
Sounds kind of bougie,
it makes you like, it kind of wakes you up. So I think that's what made me choose it. I was like, we want to empower people, like in anything you do. So I think that's why the word, I feel like it holds a huge significance.
Perfect.
Yeah. Speaking on like, because you touched on equality and everything, I just want to move on to Jalika's blog.
Madame Blogger.
And the most recent one that came out about just the whole pressure of women of a certain age, within the Gambian community, needing to be married. I just want you to talk about how you came up with that idea for the blog and what inspired you to write it.
I mean, the thing is, I always say this, I never have any inspiration, but the things I write about tend to just come out of nowhere. So for 2 weeks I'll be like, I don't know what to write about, and then I'll hear a conversation or I'll see something and I'm like, okay, actually, and it just leads into like a whole other thing. So it was actually something that I'd noticed was very prevalent, and someone kind of close to me is going through it. And I was like, why not talk about it? And as with everything, I started on Twitter. So I went on Twitter and I was like, so you guys, blah, blah, blah. And then people were like replying to me, and then I realised like how common it was, and that actually it's not just kind of my side of Gambian society where it's happening is everywhere. So as always, I was like, okay, let me just go put my thoughts into words. And then I opened like my blog, and then I wrote about it, and people seem to be responding back with stories that are like more outrageous than what I'd known before. So now I'm getting like more and more shocked as I read it, and I just feel like there's a lot of cracking pressure on women in terms of everything, but especially in terms of marriage in like a Gambian context. I think people look at it as kind of a sign of success, right? Like, oh, a husband, it's like a trophy, but it's not worth like kind of exchanging your happiness for. It's something that happens when it happens, and that's how it should be accepted. I don't think anyone should be made to feel like they're less than, or that they need to rush towards it, because a lot of people are married and they're very unhappy. So you need to make sure that kind of you do it for yourself rather than just because people are pressuring you. Because after the wedding, everyone's gone home. It's just you. So you just have to be like kind of not let it get to you, kind of let it roll off your back and just go on. It's not me who's facing it, by the way. Young, not me, but I've just something that I've noticed.
And how does it make you feel, like, because Twitter is a place where lots of people are going through the same thing or understand the same things. How does it make you feel when people reply and you're like, wow, it's not just me?
It makes me feel like actually what I'm thinking isn't nonsense. Sometimes that happens. Like when you think something by yourself and you're like, okay, am I going too far? Am I getting too deep into this? Am I deeping something that's not really that deep? But when people reply to you, you understand kind of the necessity of you expressing it. Because sometimes you express something, but you don't do it for yourself. You do it for the person who's going to respond, because they see that and they think, actually, I've got something to add. And I always learn more from how people respond to what I write than what I write itself, because people come back with like real life stories and things, and I'm always like, wow, they take everything like steps further than I could have ever taken. So I think Twitter is a great platform for me anyway. It's been amazing.
Definitely. And I think it's because people can, some people can relate to what it is that you're talking about as well. So at the end of the day, if they see, okay, this person might have some sort of understanding of what it is that they're going through, it might make them feel at ease a bit to, you know, make sure that they're not feeling alone, that there is someone else that is, you know, going kind of through the same thing. So
and I think that's important, because when I say one thing and someone else comes back and they say the exact same thing, it shows that it's a societal thing. Like it's not just you as an individual who's doing something wrong or who needs to change, but it's society that this thing is coming from. And I think it's important to like recognize the source, because that takes a lot of anxiety off you when you realize, okay, it's not just me going crazy or doing something wrong. Actually, this is like in the air. It's just everywhere.
Definitely.
Yeah, and I think social media is so important because it's where we all connect as well.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, how do you find like just the community itself? Like, because we all use it anyway. Just the community itself. How do you find that it's good that we are using it?
I think that social media is a funny place. Like it's definitely good for downtime, but I think a lot of important people that I've met recently has been through social media. I knew about what you guys were doing through social media.
Yeah, we pretty much met through social media.
Through social media, except it's like for me, a lot of things start on social media. I think. Because when I first started my blog, I was kind of showing it on Instagram, and Instagram's not really as interactive as Twitter. So my friend was trying to convince me, like, join Twitter. I was like, oh, I have nothing to say. Like, I have nothing to say. I'm pretty shy. I'm going to join Twitter. And then as soon as I joined, it was like explosive. And I think it's given me so much confidence, from me taking my blog from WordPress to an actual website. I would not have done that if the people on Twitter were not responding positively to what I was doing. So it's definitely kind of the catalyst to a lot of things, I think.
And would you say it's the same for you, because you're doing like something different to a blog?
I think if I wasn't running like business, I don't think I'll be very active.
She's not even active now. I have to advertise her business.
I'm really like I'm just not one of those people that goes on social media. Like recently I've been tweeting a lot. My friend even texted me like, are you okay? I'm tweeting a lot, you're posting pictures. I was like, new year. But no, I think it's really, like, definitely it's really good in terms of meeting people, promoting your business and whatever else that you want to do on there. However, for me personally, like every time I go on like let's say Instagram, and you see someone's page is like influencer, who are you? It's like I think people use it for a lot of people use it for the wrong reasons, and like there are people like Jalika and yourself that use it like for positivity, which is great. But I think if it hadn't been for like business and for that I even have to like schedule on Instagram. But no, I think overall it's a great platform like to meet people, new business, and interact with people from like your country.
Definitely.
I've met a lot of Gambians on and I've connected with people that I left in Gambia through like Twitter especially. So it does definitely, I think like the positives outweigh the negatives for me.
Definitely.
Especially Twitter. There's so many like younger people.
I can just go on Twitter and laugh.
Like go see the entertainment. Twitter is hilarious, man.
Comedy show.
Yeah, exactly.
So you both were born in Gambia and you came here later on. So how was that adjustment for you moving?
You go.
But how old were you guys when you first came?
I was 9.
I was 11.
Okay. So you were
funnily enough, we both went to the same primary school.
We
didn't even know.
Oh, really?
No, we went to the same primary school.
And when we met at uni, and I was like, oh, what school did you go to? She was like, Baptist.
She's like, me too.
But yeah,
I think that adjustment, to be honest, was quite anxiety inducing, especially as a 9-year-old. I don't think you really understand the difference of like what the place is going to look like and what your experiences could possibly be like. You're literally in the dark. So you come and then all of a sudden, obviously when you're that age you have to go to school, and then it's like you come and then you're just thrown out there. And I think it was a big change, I'm not going to lie, and I was very reserved as when I was younger. I still am.
Right.
So it kind of made it a bit difficult to make friends at school. I did eventually, and friends that I really loved, but it's kind of hard because that's when you start to notice the things that separate you. So before I came I was just Jalika, but then you step foot in London, all of a sudden you're Jalika, but you're also the black girl, and that's something you don't feel when you're in Gambia because everyone else more
it's pretty much the same as you.
So you become aware of the things that separate you, like religion, race, or like the way you talk and things like that, or like not knowing what in it meant. And it was. I was like, oh okay, because I didn't know. So I think things like that are quite anxiety inducing, and I feel like as an adult you kind of have to work through it, because I think displacement can be like a catalyst for anxiety or depression or possibly whatever else, because it is a big change. So I think you have to negotiate with the fact that the social climate you're in is different, and that whatever you're facing is a result of that difference rather than like something that's within you. So it's not that you're weird, but it's just that you're in a place where like the social norms are different. So I think that's something that you have to accept, but that's difficult to do as a child. So I feel like as an adult you literally have to sit there and be like, okay, nothing's wrong with me, it's just a different place.
That's what it is.
Which is interesting.
That's true, because I felt the same, because I actually lived in Wakefield, which is like
not as diverse.
Like in my high school there were like, in my year there were like 3 black girls. One of them was Joanna, you met her. And she was Gambian, which was great. Gambian person there. But I felt like it was a shock to the system, like change of weather, change of food. I was just there waiting, like my parents like, oh, maybe we're going home tomorrow. But it's like as I kind of grew up, I kind of felt like England is kind of a second home. Like I remember the first going back to Gambia for the first time, and I was like, oh my god, where is this place? I was like not used, obviously like, you're not used to being there, and I had to like look at my mum and like started crying because I wasn't used to everyone like looking at you different because you're from England. But I think it's like Jalika said, it's just like people are different from you. And it's just, as a child it's hard to understand, oh, why am I here, like and then as I grew up for college, I moved to Leeds, like more black people. And then uni London.
Exactly, we're everywhere, yeah.
Okay, so I think it kind of, I think it's a good thing to experience. Like at the time, it was like, what the hell? But now, looking back, I think it's kind of that part of my socialization kind of really helped me now in like dealing with other people. And like being able to live in like such a multicultural society as London has really like helped me find my Gambia. I remember like my favorite food is super, and it's so hard to find okra in one fish.
Oh really?
Are you serious?
Yeah. And so when I like found Peckham Market, I was like, that's it. So no, it was hard, but you get through these things. Yeah.
So we're gonna go on break, guys, and we'll be back soon.
Thank you.
Yo, this one for a blessed Gambia. The more we work together, the more we celebrate. The more we come together, the more we celebrate. Come on, let's get together. There's a place I love to be. The Gambia, the Gambia.
A date for your diary. UK's first Gambian fashion and exhibition weekend in collaboration with Interface Gambia TV, Ziza Creation, Global Hands and Neutral by Fenye. Live in London, Saturday 30th of June 2018. Designers are welcome to register interest. It's all about raising awareness of the fantastic work being done in our community. More information.
Go to www.interfacegambia.com.
Please keep this date free.
There is a land not far away, where the sea meets the shore on a golden beach, where the river flows through the forest in 1,000 creeks, a place where people smile and say hello. Welcome to the Gambia, the smiling coast of Africa.
Now that I have saved some money to build my dream home, I'm really confused about which estate company to approach. My friend had a bad experience with a particular estate agency after completing his payment and could not even get his title deed. This is serious.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Thank you.
My name is Oli. I'm from Njie Investment.
Have a seat.
Thank you.
You know, I must say you came at a very right time.
Really?
I was thinking about houses.
Great.
What can your company offer me?
Njie Investment can offer you a lot. We're unique in the market.
Okay.
We own our properties and we ensure that they're developed with modern technologies. They're affordable and they are strategic locations. We don't just sell pieces of land, but we create settlements.
What makes your company different from others?
We're different from all real estate companies in the Gambia because what we have to offer is affordability, safety, and security. We ensure that you get a legal contract from when you pay your deposit, and within 4 weeks of paying your final settlement, we make sure you receive your title deed.
4 weeks?
4 weeks.
That's interesting.
Yes. Now tell me, what real estate serves your needs?
It's absolutely EJ, investment, and real estate agents.
So welcome back from the break, guys. So we're here with Yassin and Jalika. So earlier on, guys, you
spoke about coming to England and how it was a big adjustment for you, obviously coming from Gambia. So what was it like being in school? Because I know for Kinneh and I, despite the fact that we were born and raised here in London, people still found things about us that they used against us to bully us. So how did you guys deal with it? If you did experience it, was it like a whole lot more challenging? Tell us a bit about it.
For me, I didn't really experience bullying or racism much. I think I experienced racism once and I vividly remember it, and that was the only time. So I wouldn't say it was a bad. Racism is racism, bullying is bullying, it's always bad, but it wasn't like a consistent basis where every day I would dread going to school. I think also the fact that my school had a very low bullying, racism tolerance, so I think that also helped in like regulating the other students. So I wouldn't say. I think you get the whole when you come in with new hair, like
You change your hair.
but that's like to be expected. So, but I wouldn't say I went through anything like too bad. And the fact that you guys were born here, I think people, they don't really they don't care about the background. If you're black, you're black. If you're from, if you have a different accent, that's all they need. So
because in my secondary school, I felt as if people that came from other countries with different accents, in my school anyway, they got it a whole lot worse simply because their accent was different. And that's
there was
just
also
sad.
that terminology, fob. Like we used to, it's like to other people it might be funny, but to that new person it's not so great.
And for you?
I think what you guys said is definitely true. I mean, racism is racism. Difference is difference. But I think there's an extra layer. And even though it seems quite small, I think when you're like 9, it does make a big difference. Like, for example, I was in primary school, my accent was different. I had like the very correct Indian English accent. So I wouldn't say friend, I'd be like, oh, companion. That's what we used to say. So like, even every time you say something like that, or every little quirk that separates you, like, you really feel it when you're that young. And I think there's perhaps a difference because when you're born here, you're very steady in the belief that you're like, you have as much space in this country as they do. But like when you come from somewhere different, because you still remember home and now you're in a new place, I think it takes time for it to click in your head that actually, no, I have as much space here as you do. Like, this is my country as much as it is yours. Even though, you know, I don't really think of it as home, not in that sense, but it's like I deserve to be here. Like, you can't do anything to make me feel less than. But I think that takes time to like click in your head when you come from a different country. So I think that's perhaps the only difference. It's small, but still a difference.
And it's a lot to handle.
Oh my god,
if you're trying to be like 9 years old and make friends and they're like, but you're not from here, and it's like, I am.
And we moved at a time when being African wasn't cool, remember?
We were literally talking about that in the last episode.
Like being African was not cool because people had and still have so many like negative beliefs about Africa. So they'd be, oh, do you live in the hut? Do you have shoes? Do you have this? Do you have that? And you're like, what?
We live better than you.
A lot of the time.
So I think that was like before Afrobeats and everything. So people were looking at you like, oh my god, it was something that pushed you out even more like onto the margins.
Do you still have, like, when you go Gambia, they don't see you as a Gambian anymore, they see you as a British person?
Well, only when I speak English, you know. Like, not even if I just literally came back not long ago. But even if I'm on the phone with my grandmother, she'd be like, oh, you sound so English. But apart from that, I don't really get it that much. It's not so bad for me because I grew up in a home that's practically Gambia. Like, if you step into my house, it's like you're in Bakau or something. So for me, it hasn't really been that bad.
I think for me, my accent hasn't helped. As you heard me say Titi.
I was going to say Titi.
Everyone was like, what is that?
Oh God, no. I think for me, even when I speak in Wolof or Mandinka, I still like drag my words. So people, like my auntie was like, do you ever get angry because you drag your words? Like, you sound very like too bad. But then I was watching this video on Twitter the other day, this man ranting about how they ask you for your
IG, is it?
Oh yeah.
That's what happened to us.
At Senegal.
That happened to us.
Like when I went to Gambia last, there was, I don't think it was, the law was implemented then. I don't know if it's a law or
it's just a power thing.
They were like, oh, it's fine, you're from Europe. The way you walk, you're from Europe.
The way you walk, wow. Wow.
By then I hadn't moved to London, so I was dragging my feet. And they were like, I can hear it in your voice, you're from Europe. I was like, okay then, I'll go with my business.
Because we went to Gambia together in 2015 and we were in the taxi and I was speaking Wolof. And then all of a sudden I started speaking English. The taxi driver goes, oh, I like your voice. All of a sudden the price of the taxi went up.
From $8 to $500.
No, 50. I was like, what?
can't.
I think it's little things like that, because like I said, I just came out 3 weeks ago. So I went to Serekunda about 4 times just because. But like I would always go with my cousin, and whenever it was time to negotiate, it was the same thing. Like I'm not, because here like they tell you the price, you just buy shit. But I have to get my cousin to negotiate, and sometimes we walk away and I'm like, whoa, because the price like must have halved.
It's crazy.
Now I know not to talk.
Like you just
even if they see you, they just know.
No, like even if I'm trying to fit in as much as possible, but I even wear like the clothes, they know, because even when we speak Wolof, when we speak Wolof, like they still hear the British accent behind it, and it's just, I don't think it's right what they do. I mean, I understand why they might do it, but it's not a nice thing.
Like they can't help themselves, because even if you speak it correctly, they'll be like, oh, you haven't forgotten.
Yeah, kind of. But you get so shocked. Yeah, we know that kind of like. I'm just like, what do you think?
Very random. When you guys go home, does your clothes smell like different?
Yeah.
Like
when I open my suitcase, I can smell
the country. Like the house.
It smells like, I don't know.
The clothes that you have here, kind of.
Yeah, like it smells.
I do perfume and all that anyway, so. I know what she's saying. No, there's actually a Gambian smell. I know what you're talking about.
I know the Gambian smell, but I didn't know the British one. Did you?
No, she right. No, I know what you're saying. It's separate. That's separate from the Gambian smell. Yeah. In Gambia, they smell of like chura and soap and like
awesome.
Because I remember when my dad used to come, like
from Gambia?
Like when he used to come to Gambia from here, like his suitcase used to smell of.
Yeah, I know what she's talking about.
And then
I know what you're talking about. Million fire. I know what you're talking about.
I smell when we come back from Gambia. You open, you're like, oh.
You open that room.
Yeah.
Well, that's because my mom's from Congo and all this in my suitcase. I remember going through customs. I was sweating. They were trying to.
Was that you that tweeted your mum?
Yeah. Oh my goodness! I went. I had Congo in my bag. Like 4 or 5, and I was shivering. My mother comes out. She opens her bag. It's literally just. I don't know how she managed to get through.
She hasn't.
You can do it.
It's possible. It's
and she knows how much confidence. I'll bring this up. I'm like, wow. Yeah, my grandma. I get nervous.
Frozen. You have to recite Fatiha and then
you
have to put them in
why did no one tell me that?
And she was like, this is gonna help them go through. They all came through.
But you know what I'm saying? I've been to Gambia 6-7 times and we've never gotten caught. Like,
but
never.
You guys bring back fish.
Everything.
My last
fish, everything.
I told them no. I was like, I'm not taking anything.
I'm no choice.
I only came back for 20 kilos. I was like,
I had only 20 kilos, and my mum made me freight my clothes. There was chaki, there was everything, corn, little, everything, like. But do you know what? It's because you do have it here, but it's because you're back home, so they
it's not the same.
Make the most of it, man. It's cheaper and everything and stuff.
Everything's so much cheaper. I had like pasti waldo in my bag. It's so expensive. I think it's hard to find.
The most important thing for me to bring back from Gambia has to be kaba.
Really?
They didn't have any when I was
there. It's not.
One girl selling it, she'll sell it for $200. Yeah, I think.
It's not in season. That's why.
Yeah, because no one else had it.
They sell good kaba here though.
They do.
Yeah, but it's
in the packet. I want it in its natural container because I eat the thing inside. Like. Exactly. That's what I like, man.
Oh gosh.
But yeah. I'm gonna say back.
Thinking about kaba.
So.
We're going to talk about Yassin's catering company.
Yeah, since we're talking about food. Oh, wait, break.
Okay, when we come back from break, we're going to get into more detail about Yassin's catering company. Oh, sorry.
There is a land not far away where the sea meets the shore on a golden beach, where the river flows through the forest in 1,000 creeks. A place where people smile and say hello. Welcome to the Gambia, the smiling coast of Africa.
A date for your diary. UK's first Gambian fashion and exhibition weekend in collaboration with Interface Gambia TV, Xale Creation, Global Hands and Neutral by Fenye. Live in London, Saturday 30th of June 2018. Designers are welcome to register interest. It's all about raising awareness of the fantastic work being done in our community. More information.
Go to www.interfacegambia.com.
Please keep this date free.
Now that I have saved some money to build my dream home, I'm really confused about which estate company to approach. My friend had a bad experience with a particular estate agency after completing his payment and could not even get his title deed. This is serious.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
Thank you.
My name is Oli. I'm from Njie Investments.
Understood.
Thank you.
You know, I must say you came at a very right time.
Really?
I was thinking about houses.
Great.
What can your company offer me?
Njie Investments can offer you a lot. We're unique in the market.
Okay.
We own our properties and we ensure that they're developed with modern technologies. They're affordable and they are strategic locations. We don't just sell pieces of land, but we create settlements.
What makes your company different from others?
We're different from all real estate companies in the Gambia because what we have to offer is affordability, safety, and security. We ensure that you get a legal contract from when you pay your deposit, and within 4 weeks of paying your final settlement, we make sure you receive your title deed.
4 weeks?
4 weeks.
That's interesting.
Yes. Now tell me, what real estate service you need?
It's absolutely EJ, investment, and real estate agency.
Yo, this one for a blessed Gambia. The more we work together, the more we celebrate. The more we come together, the more we celebrate. Come on, let's get together. There's a place I love to be. The Gambia, the Gambia.
Welcome back from the break. Now we're going to get into You Know Your Gambian When with our guests. The game that we play every week. So we're just going to get you guys to pick out, if I can open it, pick out a strip and just read it out loud and let us know if it's something you can relate to.
I feel like
It's a bit tight.
You know you're Gambian when you get money given to you from relatives. However, your parents tell you, Kai, this is really it's terrible. Can you read?
Your parents tell you, Kai Madincha logo.
Do you know what that means?
That's true, yeah.
Yeah.
I know what it means.
I think hasn't everyone had that? I think
All the time.
I never see it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, your parents.
like the one person.
No, no one used to give me money.
Okay, that makes sense. Oh my gosh.
It used to happen to us all the time.
That's how many of it. Well, the cocoa box in the cupboard. Where do you think it came from? I didn't ask you to the cocoa box. So yeah, but there you go. Oh, sorry.
Okay, you got it?
Do I have to? Okay, let me see what it says. You know you're Gambian when you hear Yusundu being played first thing in the morning.
We've already
I'm usually the one playing it.
We get that one every
week.
Really? Should I pick another one?
Yeah.
Okay. It says, you know you're Gambian when you have a DNA above your front door.
Wait. What is that?
This is so weird. We're gonna have to like cut all of that.
Because we're supposed to tell you that.
Sorry, is there repeats in here?
No.
Okay. You know you're Gambian when you spot another Gambian by their lamb or I definitely spot people by their lamb.
Definitely.
Gambians.
Yeah.
Get it a lot.
Although I don't
Does anyone have one? Oh, you do. I took mine off.
It's not.
Did you guys used to have the ones with your name?
Yeah.
That's why I don't wear it because mine says Baby J. Jalika. So I don't wear it, but I've got one.
Mine says MJC Ham, and it's supposed to be Cham, MJ Cham, so we look so weird.
See Ham.
Oh, it looks so weird.
It's easy to spot.
Yeah, when I went to secondary school, they made me take it off and I lost it. So
Oh, really?
no jewelry allowed. Should have just said this for cultural purposes.
Yeah. I mean, I was at work and you're a Gambian. I said, yeah. He goes, oh.
Was that a Nigerian accent?
I don't know. You know, I can't even do a Gambian accent. an accent, you know. That's the accent.
It's hard to do.
It really is, like, people always ask me, can you do a Gambian accent? I'm like, no, I actually can't.
It's weird. It's because they have like this kind of West Indies kind of thing as well.
I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah.
But I like it. It's not like a hard one.
Yeah, you can understand.
Like they sound really posh.
Yeah, they do. Okay, so now we're going to talk about Yassin's catering. Just tell us about when this started.
I started it last October when I took the leap and quit my job. I was working after I graduated. I was working for about a year in the kitchen industry, and I was working as a cookery chef in Canary Wharf, and I really enjoyed it, but the hours were not for me. I was getting quite ill, so I thought, let me go into a restaurant. Big mistake. The hours are really long, unsociable. You barely get weekends off, and I really value my weekends. So that's when I decided that I wanted to start YB Catering and put African food on the map.
Yes.
Because a lot of the foods that I was working with were like British or Japanese restaurants, and I really wanted to, you know, put a little Maggie here, bring the flavors out. So that's when I started doing it, and it's been great. So I really love it, and we provide meal preps, personal chef services, catering parties, so anything really food wise, and we do every like cuisine, not just Gambian or African.
And guys, I just want to say, like, the food is actually so nice. The chicken was, I was just only like munching, like, me and Jalika were like,
I had like 200 chicken.
it was so nice.
Well, thank you. Yeah, so like I just think for me, like, I've seen like our generation kind of romanticizes the whole entrepreneurship, and I feel like I didn't want to start a business because I wanted to make money. I wanted to start a business because I feel like there's a market there. I always see like African foods, but I don't think they're getting like what they deserve.
The recognition.
Exactly. So making like this business was kind of my way to like maybe climb on top of the ladder and put different flavors out there that maybe the white people don't necessarily know. I actually had a client that asked me to make food from Gambia, and I made him benachin, not jollof rice.
The OG.
And then he was like, oh my god, this is amazing. I was like, I know. But no, it's basically like letting people try something different and knowing that it's actually really good, and it's nice, and you can have it. Like most African foods actually can be vegan.
Yeah, or vegetarian friendly. Yeah, just take out the meat and then that's it. Exactly. It's still fine, right? It's nice.
Exactly. Like So yeah, that's kind of how it started, and I'm currently looking for chefs if anyone's looking for it.
I've got a qualification in cooking, just saying.
Good take, juicy.
But I think it's good because there was a point in time where being African wasn't seen as cool, and especially when it came to African food, you know, there's a stereotypical view that African food stinks, fishy, this is this, da-da-da. But really and truly, African food is beautiful, do you know what I mean? Like, it's a form of art, it tastes nice, all of this, and a lot of our food, minus all the oil and that, it can be healthy, do you know what I mean? Yeah, it can be healthy. So.
And I think it's like important for us Africans to also promote our own food, because I feel like we have it at home and it stays at home. Like if you're going to a party and they ask you to bring something, make something from your country. Them like there's alternatives to Chinese, like the Chinese industry is taking over, like everywhere you turn, the Caribbeans, and I feel like we definitely like
we have potential.
We have so much potential that is not being tapped into, and I think like I saw this man, he's got like a catering business, and he started selling wonja. It wasn't in Iceland.
Still good.
I was really like impressed, and I was like, okay, so we're getting
We're getting
And then yesterday was Good Friday, even though we're not Christian, we have Nanbur.
Yeah.
So
It's got nothing to do with religion.
I don't even know why it's a tradition.
Yeah, it's weird,
we eat it, so, and it's good. So even though I can't make it, I aim to learn and bring it onto my menu. And so I think definitely go out there, book us. But yeah, you can, like, we've recently built our website and we want to expand and bring on like young chefs and young people like that, because unemployment is quite high at the moment, so we really want to like tap into that as well, helping young people like come on board if they have a passion for it. So yeah,
perfect.
That's really good. Did you learn to cook here?
I actually, like when I was, in African homes, everyone had to cook. But
by 6 you're only in the kitchen like.
when I was at home before uni, I would cook here and there, but nothing exciting. Then when I moved to uni, I had to cook, and I really enjoyed it. And I would have my friends over and we'll have like dinner together.
She has me over, she cooks for me. That's my favourite thing, to do together. For me,
so when I was at uni, I found a part-time job at the cookery school, and I learned so much there because they taught every cuisine. So I learned like Japanese food, Thai, Asian, everything. So that kind of pushed me like to be like, okay, now it's kind of now or never, do what you want. And that's how it basically, I was self-taught then.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Because I feel like within the culture, food is actually a really big thing that people might not realise. Like, even eating together on one plate is such a big thing.
Yeah.
I think it's a beautiful thing.
And it's really important.
Until your brother steals your meat or something like that.
So it's a really good thing that you're putting it out there.
Thank you. I think that's one thing I do miss about being home, like eating together. Because people, I think I never really thought much of that.
You could come to my house. You could just come to her.
But yeah, like she's always posting food on Snapchat. And so I think, definitely let's put Africa out there and put our food out there and win.
Yes.
So Jalika, how did you get into blogging?
I got into blogging while I was at uni actually. I was never one of those people who followed blogs or read them, mainly because no blogs really like suited my interest. Like there was fashion blogs, but I wasn't really interested in reading that. So it was during my time in uni, so for my undergraduate I did law, which was it was great, but I just knew, okay, this is not something that I want to do forever, because I was a bit more, I wanted to try different things. So for my masters I did cultural anthropology, and while I was doing that I was learning so much that everything was processing in my head all at once. So I kind of really needed an outlet, otherwise I felt like I was going to burst. It was like so many things coming at me at the same time, and although it was hard, I loved it so much. So I remember one day I was sitting in class and I was like, you know what, I'm going to start a blog, I just kept saying it. And then the next week I just went home and did it, because I knew that if I debated it any longer I would have scared myself into not doing it. So I went home, went to WordPress, just typed in The Culture Critic, and even though I'm not absolutely in love with the name, I just felt like I had to go with it, because if I took time to choose something different I probably wouldn't have gone ahead with it. So then I started on WordPress, and then I would just write and like send it to my friends and be like, hey, read this. And it wasn't that long ago, it was about a year ago. And then I was like sharing pictures and stuff on Instagram, and then I moved to Twitter, and then it kind of just went from there. And every week it's just kind of building more and more, because it's always starting a conversation. And I love when people tell me their opinions, because I'll tell you my opinion. So because of that, it's kind of made it very easy for me to socialize online. So it's been a great platform in terms of like self-development, because now I've met friends like from across the world, and I've had the opportunity to do things that I could have never ever done before. Like I was at a talk with Xale. I could have never done that had it not been for my blog had it not been for the organisers seeing my content and approaching me. So I thank God for it. I mean, it's been great in terms of allowing me to express myself and kind of like opening dialogue. I would like to think that everything I write does that, like it allows people to like chip in.
I've definitely learned a lot about you from your blog.
Yeah. And it's got a personal touch to it, which makes it really good. And
I love the pictures.
Just talking about that, the pictures are amazing.
I have to put the pictures because that's like my face when I'm writing. You guys, what I look like.
The baby picture is really good.
Oh my goodness, you guys, I need to change that. My head is like this.
It's really nice.
Thank you.
So it's good, yeah. So how do you want to carry it on the side? And
Definitely. I feel like alongside my blog, I've also curated a cultural archive. I don't know if you guys have been on that, but that was kind of one of my favourite things to do. And when I first started the blog, I could have never imagined that I would have done something like that. But it's just something that came out of interest. Like I was constantly on Twitter sharing like old videos and theatres and stuff that I would find, because these are things that I grew up watching. So then when I was changing from WordPress to a website, I was like, why not do an archive? So I think because I've done that and I never imagined that I could, I have to keep blogging because I don't know what's to come. Like every week is different, every month is different. Things are just coming at me and I'm enjoying it so much. So yeah, I'm definitely going to continue.
Yeah, that's good.
Unless we wake up one day and society's perfect.
Only one can dream. But it's good because it's like somewhere where you can be free and say what you want because it's your controlled environment.
Yeah, definitely.
So that is a good thing. So how much it feels like a whole lot of Gambian influence is on it. But I just want to generalise to both of you, how much of a Gambian influence or British influence is in what you guys do?
I think everything that I do has a definite Gambian influence, because when I was starting the blog, I said to myself, I'm doing this to cater to specifically a Gambian audience. Like that was my aim. I was like, okay, people from other cultures are going to read it and they might not understand everything, because sometimes I've got sentences in like Mandinka, I've got sentences in Wolof, or sometimes the title might be in Wolof or Mandinka. So I'm like, I've had a friend who's Nigerian and she's like, okay, I've read it, but I don't understand this. I'm like, okay, that's nice, but I'm not going to change it because I wanted it to be like specifically targeted to Gambians. I want, like, if a Gambian stumbled across it on the internet by mistake, I want them to read it and know that, oh, actually this is for me, this is aimed at me. I wanted to kind of carve out that space because I feel like there's a lot going on and that there's nothing wrong with having something just for yourself.
Very true.
I feel like we're lacking that. I know a lot of Gambian bloggers, some of them are my friends and they're not consistent, and I'm trying to, get them to write more, because I feel like when Gambian women write, it's amazing. I'm always in awe, so I feel like it's definitely something that we could push forward.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, I think definitely Gambia influences me a lot. I think everything I do, I aim to take it there later on. For example, with the women's I aim to like take it, because I feel like Gambia has amazing, like, I'm still talking with the feminism thing, like Yajama, like she's one of the people I look up to, and I feel like Gambia has so many amazing like organizations that help out young women. So I think everything I do, I aim to like one day take it there. So I always have work with that in mind. Like, I'm building a company, can I like take that to Gambia? Am I going to open a food business in Gambia? And so I think it has to be a balance, because you're here for one, but also it's like you're really there too, because everything you do is a reflection upon what like you've experienced in Gambia. So I think it has to be a balance.
And I think that's amazing, especially the fact that you want to take Empowering You to Gambia, especially for the women as well, because we know certain issues such as FGM and everything's quite, a big thing in Gambia. So that will really push, the idea of empowering women as well as empowering like other people out there. So
I think I already told you guys I was recently accepted onto a fellowship for Forward UK, where they work in with the aim of ending things like FGM, child marriage, etc. So I'll be away to do like training on that, and all my I have to do like a Dragon's Den pitch to the other like leaders on how how I'm gonna, and they're like, you need to like contextualize it in Britain, but I'm there thinking, but I want to contextualize it in Gambia. So it's like, if I do this here, is it gonna work in Gambia? Like, am I gonna get different results? Am I gonna get like bad feedback? So it's always thinking like, how am I gonna do it? It can work here
and work there as well.
So that's always can be a struggle.
I think, speaking of context, I think that's something very important, because that's something that you have to think of when you write. Like, I as a Gambian person can go on the internet and write about Gambian issues, but I have to take into consideration the fact that I don't live there. Okay, I've just come back from holiday. Okay, my family is there, but it's like, I'm here, so whatever I experience will always be slightly different. So I feel like it's important to state that, so I'm not speaking over other people's voices, because I can't sit here and tell you what someone in the pipeline is going through. We're both like Gambian, but
different,
like, we're living different realities. So that's something that I kind of try to like incorporate. Like, everything is from a diasporic context. We're like, okay, I am writing this as a Gambian person in London. There might be differences, but so take everything with a grain of salt. Kind of, I think it's important to push those variations forward.
It's really important because it's like you're bridging the gap between Gambia and being a Gambian in the UK.
So to show that we're not kind of all living a singular reality, there's always a difference.
That's really good. Well, that's all we have time for, unfortunately. We can sit here and talk forever, but thank you to our guests. Can you just let our viewers know where they can find your work or where they can get into contact with you?
Well, I'm on Twitter. God, I have so many Twitter. We're on Twitter. Empowering You is on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. Personally, I'm on Twitter and Instagram, just Yassin Bojang. And for the catering, we're on Twitter, Instagram, and our website is ybcatering.co.uk.
Okay, so you can find my blog on theculturecritic.net, and if you go there and like you scroll to the bottom, the link to my Twitter's there. Not that I tweet anything important.
Follow her on Twitter.
You will be entertained. So if you go on theculturecritic.net, you will find my blog, and hopefully you'll like my content and go through the archive as well.
Thank you very much for coming on to the show today, guys.
Thank you for having us.
We hope you guys have enjoyed the show, and we'll see you next time.
We have.
Yo, this one for a blessed Gambia. The more